There was a time when every action required a conversation. Not always a loud one, sometimes just a quick check-in. Should I do this now? Is this the right way? What if I mess it up? Even simple actions were preceded by a mental pause, a moment where the mind stepped in to review the movement before it happened. This internal dialogue felt responsible, thoughtful, careful, but it also created friction. Action became something that had to pass inspection before being allowed to occur. Over time, it becomes clear that most actions don't need this review. They never did. At first, action without internal dialogue happens accidentally. You reach for something before thinking about it. You respond before rehearsing. You move without commentary. And afterward, there's a brief surprise. That just happened. No planning, no internal permission, and nothing went wrong. The body moved correctly. The timing was fine. The response fit the moment. This can feel unsettling at first. Internal dialogue was once framed as control. Without it, there's a fear of impulsivity. What if I act without thinking and regret it? But experience begins to show something different. Most internal dialogue wasn't preventing mistakes. It was delaying movement. It was creating hesitation where none was required. Action without internal dialogue isn't reckless. It's responsive. The body has intelligence. The nervous system has memory. Context informs movement faster than thought ever could. When a glass starts to fall, you catch it without a conversation. When someone calls your name, you turn without analysis. When the light changes, your foot moves without instruction. These actions don't need commentary. They happen because the system is designed to respond. Internal dialogue arrived later and claimed credit. It said, "I decided to do that," but often the decision had already happened. Living without internal dialogue means allowing that natural responsiveness to operate without interference. Not everywhere, not always, but in far more moments than we were taught to allow. At first, there's a sense of quiet urgency. The mind wants to step in. It wants to say something before action unfolds. It's used to being involved. So when action begins without it, there can be a reflexive attempt to catch up. But that attempt softens. The mind learns that it doesn't need to supervise everything. Action becomes smoother, less interrupted. You stop pausing mid-movement to check if it's correct. You stop adjusting actions based on imagined outcomes. You simply act based on what's in front of you. This changes the feel of the body. Movement becomes more fluid, less jerky, less self-conscious. There's no internal observer watching your performance. No voice evaluating posture, tone, timing. You're not acting for yourself. You're just acting. This can be deeply relieving, especially in situations that once felt tense. Conversations flow more naturally. You respond instead of planning responses. You speak without previewing sentences. Words arrive and leave without being edited in advance. This doesn't make speech careless. It makes it alive. You're no longer speaking from a script. You're speaking from presence. And because there's no internal dialogue interrupting, listening improves too. You're not half in your head, half in the conversation. You're fully there. This changes decision-making. Before, decisions involved internal debate, weighing pros and cons, imagining future regret, replaying past outcomes. Now, many decisions resolve themselves without discussion. You sense what fits, you act, and that's it. If adjustment is needed later, it happens. There's no need to get it perfect in advance. Internal dialogue wanted certainty. Action without dialogue accepts responsiveness instead. This doesn't mean complex decisions never involve thought. They do, but thought becomes functional. It appears when genuinely needed, then it leaves. It doesn't linger and second-guess. It doesn't replay the decision afterward. Once action is taken, attention moves on. This reduces mental fatigue. You're no longer dragging a trail of commentary behind every movement. The body feels lighter, not because it's stronger, because it's no longer being interrupted. Even routine tasks change. You don't narrate chores. You don't mentally track progress. You don't comment on how boring or meaningful they are. You simply do them. And without commentary, they take less effort. Not less time, less effort. Effort used to come from resistance, from thinking about doing rather than doing. Without internal dialogue, resistance drops. Movement happens. Completion happens. Then the next thing happens. This also changes how mistakes are handled. Before, a mistake triggered internal dialogue immediately. Why did I do that? I should have known better. This always happens. Now, a mistake is just information. Something didn't work. You adjust. There's no added layer of commentary. No identity impact. No self-criticism loop. The body corrects and continues. This makes learning faster. Mistakes don't stick. They don't become stories. They don't get rehearsed. They pass as quickly as they arrive. Action without internal dialogue also changes pacing. You stop rushing and stop dragging. You move at the speed of the situation. Not faster, not slower. There's no internal pressure pushing you ahead or pulling you back. The pace adjusts naturally. This creates a sense of right timing. Not because you calculated it, because nothing interfered. Even rest changes. You rest without thinking about resting. You don't evaluate whether you deserve it. You don't optimize it. You don't plan how productive you'll be afterward. You stop, and when it's time to move again, you move. The transition is clean. There's no guilt in stopping, no urgency in starting. Action and rest are no longer negotiated internally. They happen as needed. This can feel unfamiliar, because many people were taught that internal dialogue equals discipline, that without mental oversight, everything would fall apart. But discipline doesn't come from commentary. It comes from responsiveness, from being attuned to what's needed. Internal dialogue often disrupted that attunement. It pulled attention away from the moment and into imagined consequences. Without it, you're more accurate, more precise. You do what's appropriate because you're actually present. There's also a quiet confidence that emerges. Not confidence in outcomes, confidence in responsiveness. You trust that you'll handle what arises when it arises. You don't need to pre-handle it. You don't need to rehearse. You don't need to simulate every possibility. This trust reduces anxiety. Anxiety thrives on internal dialogue, on constant anticipation. Without dialogue, anticipation softens. You meet situations directly instead of mentally arriving early. This doesn't eliminate surprise. It makes surprise manageable, because you're not already exhausted from thinking about it. You respond fresh. Action without internal dialogue also reduces self-consciousness. You're not watching yourself act. You're not performing for an internal audience. There's no split between actor and observer. There's just action. This is especially noticeable in physical movement. Walking, working, driving. The body knows how. You let it. This simplicity can feel almost too ordinary. There's no peak experience, no special feeling, just efficiency, ease, function. And that's the point. Life doesn't need to feel extraordinary to be lived well. It needs to move without obstruction. Internal dialogue was often the obstruction, not because it was bad, because it was overused. It inserted itself where it wasn't required. Now it rests, and action flows. Thought still appears when needed. Planning still happens. Reflection still occurs. But action no longer waits for permission. It doesn't need a green light from a voice. It happens when the conditions are right. And afterward, there's no internal commentary about it. Just the next moment. This is what it's like to live without internal dialogue during action. Not impulsive, not unconscious, just uninterrupted. And from here, another shift becomes visible. A day without commentary, which is where we'll go next.